The League Podcast. What's going on, everyone, to another episode of The League Podcast. We have a very special guest here today with you. And for his introduction, he wants to be introduced with this.
Come on, girl. Yeah, it's me, Jackie Moon. Oh, give me that look. That's right. Let's get sweaty. Let's get real sweaty. I'm talking rainforest sweaty. I'm talking swamp sweaty. Let's fill a bathtub full of sweat. All right.
The best intro so far, Mr. Won Kim. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking your time out to join us. I mean, father of two, you were able to escape.
Put the kids down, come right here, 2-3 minute drive. So it's short and good.
The super convenient, right?
Exactly.
So, Won, what's going on, man? How have you been enjoying the podcast so far?
Podcast has been great.
Yes.
I have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Especially with previous hosts and what's going on so far.
Awesome.
So, I'll start by saying, don't take anything I say personally in this podcast, but take it seriously. I hope you guys understand what that means. If you take this personally, then you need to get your priorities straight. If you don't take it seriously, this entertainment value will suffer and you'll waste a lot of people's time. So I'm sacrificing other good podcasts here for my short commute. So I need good value, right?
Take it personally. So that way you can come back with some fire on your episodes. You know what
exactly.
I mean?
Just just case in point. Don't be so boring like Hooney, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. Sorry, Hooney. I understand it was our first couple episodes and people were kind of like, we didn't really know what it was, right? But let's make our podcast entertaining, right?
Exactly. So I'll start with this. Some feedbacks on the previous host.
Okay, here we go.
I guess the main host, props for getting this going. Topher, you've been doing a real good job here. The setup is excellent.
Thank you.
It gets better every week, exception of maybe the guest host. While the podcast gets better, the guest host gets worse. Right.
Well, I do get more practice too. I'm sure maybe my first episode I was mumbling and had like very incoherent thoughts, right? But yeah.
No, it's definitely gotten better. The questions are better. The points are better. So it's been good. So first episode, Paul Hong.
Yes.
It's definitely a good listen. Good way to start, with good insights. But he's still some sauce, man. How can Commissioner get the first pick and stay in first place undefeated? Still shading me, man. And who attested to this random quote unquote pick? Probably paid him.
I actually think
right?
I wrote the same thing in my picks. I was like, this is some collusion, man. Some bullshit.
Hashtag crooked commissioner.
He took my talk early, man. 5-0, and I play him this week too.
Oh man, that's tough. Now for the second one, James. Man, this guy.
It was Hooney, wasn't it?
It was James.
James was
was
next?
it? Hooney.
No, Hooney.
Hooney.
Yes.
Hooney. He was way too technical. Too much detail. I don't know anybody that he was talking about. Man, so Chung was right. It was pretty long and boring. He needs to spend more time with Anna, not on all the details of NFL news.
Oh man, and a lot of his points, I think a lot of people disagreed with. Sorry, Hooney. Just putting it out there.
Yep. And then coming to James. Oh, man, that thing was 2 hours of torture.
Oh, man.
He's rambling about too much unnecessary stuff, always complaining. Skins are just poo-poo, man. You could do better.
Oh, man.
Next time.
Did you, I don't know if I did put it there, right?
Didn't
The
put the stats around.
Yes.
Skins.
Oh, my God.
I haven't seen it yet, but.
We'll go over at that point.
Yeah. And then last one, David Jang. Man, I don't know what the heck he's saying. He needs to go back to school, fix his English, man. It's all over the place. So next time, do better. So future guests in this podcast, do better. People are spending time, hour or more listening to the assessments, and the setup here is great. So be there if you can.
And it's still a work in progress. I don't know if you saw, I have this huge mixing board down here.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So that's when we want to have
okay.
Skype callers and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because not everybody will be able to make it over here.
Exactly. I think actually I have to get this up and running by next week because I think Chomo was next. Chomo, here you go. This is your week noticed. Please give me your intro song, and get a Skype account if you don't have one.
Yeah, he's in Virginia. He can make it up here.
I don't think he's going to. I mean, you think Scott would?
Scott definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's married now.
he's
They're both
married, but he's in the bottom of the pack, right? You know,
That's true.
You don't care anymore.
That's true. That's true. Although he made some trades, we'll talk about it. Your fantasy history, Juan.
Yes.
Brief history, please.
So I started back in 2007. Hence, you can hear from my intro, "Love Me Sexy." That was my name from 2007 to
yes,
2011, right? You know, from Flint, Michigan tropics, Jackie Moon, and then, you know, I started off pretty strong. I had 2 good, solid wins with the SAC guys. You know,
The older SAC guys,
yeah, Ted and those guys, and then 2012, 2013, another down years. That's when One and Only, you know, came about in 2013. You know, it's been a long time since I've won. It's been 2009, so it's been almost reaching a decade since a win.
Is this due to just being busy and not being able to put the time in, or
No,
just
I mean,
bad?
Maybe in the beginning.
I mean, because a lot probably happened since then. You got married, you had kids. You know, you had to be a dad. Right?
Yeah, but during that time, you know, I was just doing like 3 or 4 leagues. You know, trying to just grapple with all that. And this past year, I just got rid of. I was in 3 leagues, and I got rid of the 2, and then I just have this one. So it's just too much time, and it was just too. You know, you just can't root for anything.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing. Just because, you know, Garrett being born, I was like, I'm not gonna have time to do any more leagues than just one. So I did this one, and I actually enjoy it way more. I mean, just because it's like you invest your time in just one team instead of like, okay, I have to go to the next team. It's like, who's out there, who's on waiver wire. It's like you have to do all that work.
Yeah, and then
3 times.
your opponents could be in your team in the other league, right? It's
yeah,
just
at that point, you don't really
that.
root for anyone. You just become the stat machine. You're just like, okay, who scored? And you just check Yahoo all day, you know?
Exactly. So I looked at my record overall in the past 12 years of doing this.
Okay.
And it's not good.
It's not good. Yeah.
I'm 205 over 241. So that's 46%.
I think I'm closer to 50, but I think I'm still below 500.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad.
Well, you know, I haven't really asked anyone. I mean, I think Cooney talked a little bit about it, but what about like when you first got in? How comfortable were you with, you know, what fantasy was, the strategies, drafts, things like that?
I think back then it was relatively new concept, so people were starting to get into it. I mean, I won the first 3 years twice.
Just because you did your research, you looked at players.
I mean, it's that I got lucky. At some point, you have to get lucky.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You have to do a lot of good trades. You have to pick up, you know, these sleepers, and then they pan out. So all that stuff happened. Now it's like so many people are involved, and they do so much analysis, pick it up right away.
It's so crazy.
There's no way you could find that sleep because somebody you know, ahead of you in the waiver wire already got it.
I mean, everyone's already called like, you know, the 15 different sleepers, and it's just about who hits it, right? You know, I called Jameis Winston last week, right? But he could have had a dud game.
You got extremely lucky with 40 points on a pickup on Drew Brees bye.
But I called it. I said Jameis Winston. I was like, I couldn't believe he was on waiver. I was like, Drew Brees is on bye. I'm screwed. Who am I going to get? I was like, Jameis Winston. I was like, oh my God, he's up. So I picked him up. And now I'm keeping him.
He's a terrible person.
He is, but he's a great fantasy player. So now that you're up and on the winning record now, all right? How do you feel?
I'm not on the winning record. I lost this week, so I'm dead even.
You're 3. Okay, but I think you had a
good run.
Well, you have a solid team. I think you're not out by any means.
No,
you know?
I'm definitely not out compared to some other guys in the league.
Oh yes, mate, we'll talk about them. But you have a solid team. Still very much in the playoff hunt.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about your team on other episodes, and we said you're a very solid team. How do you feel about your team this season?
Well, this season, I sort of focused on best player available when I started the draft, and then I ended up
The
picking
Ravens.
all the receivers, and it's sort of hurt me in the beginning, but I'm waiting for my receivers to pan out, on and off every week. Mike Thomas has a good week. Odell Beckham had a big week last week, and then last week was a dud.
Wait, OBJ, I
traded him.
Oh yeah, you did.
I traded him to James. I needed a running back.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's right.
it's been on and off this year.
Yeah,
but,
OBJ, man.
One thing I'm proud of is I'm not dead last. I've been bottom 2 past 2 years. So I looked at my record for this league. I started in 2015. I was 8th when I started. When I finished 8th.
Okay.
And then the year after that, I finished dead last.
Which is what was that the? Wait, so you have to give the trophy twice?
No, I was dead last 2 years ago.
Okay.
Right.
That was when you had to get the trophy.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is when I was working in sort of Owens Mills, Baltimore area, and during lunchtime, I took it to engrave shop. I yelped. I was like, all right, where's the engrave shop? So I looked at it. I took it there during lunch break.
Yes.
And then, I think everybody knows the
yeah,
story.
but please tell it. Yes.
Yeah, for people that don't know the story, I go in there. It's $20, first of all, that you got to get it engraved. You go in there. It's like, oh, I got to engrave, winner, second place, and last place. And then my last place, I'm the loser, so I have to do it. I was like, all right, fine. How long is it going to take? It's going to take a couple of days. All right, I'll come back. And I come back, I pay for it. And the man goes, oh, yeah, so you're going to get this engraved next year? I was like, hell no, I'm not going to get that engraved. This is a last place job. So...
Oh man, you know what we should do? Just in light of that tradition, we should just go back to that engraver every year, right? So he knows. He's like, oh, you lost, right? And then see if
it's not a big, huge punishment, but it's really annoying.
It probably is. You know what we should do is like maybe somehow like force the loser to just show identification to the engraver. They'll be like, why? And be like, just to show that the loser is you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be funny.
Just be like, okay, I lost. Here it is. Loser, Topher Lee. And then I'll just show, just so. But, I mean, David made that point, right? That the punishments can be a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't agree with taking the SATs.
Yeah,
I mean, that's too much. You stress out for 4 hours. You'll actually try to some level.
But come on. If David Jang took the SATs again,
oh
that
man,
would be great.
Oh, that would be embarrassing.
All right, awesome. So let's get to that was our intro segment. Let's get to the news and notes. So for the first point that I put in today, right? Can you actually click on that link? If not, I'll just read it to you. It's the stat of mediocrity of Redskins, right? Just because we have several Redskins fans out there, right? Crazy stats shows just how mediocre Redskins have been, right? The Redskins are 1-1 in their last 2 games. They're 2-2 in their last 4 games. 3-3 in their last 6 games. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. They're 6-6 in the last 12 games. It just keeps going. 7-7 in the last 14. 10-10 in the last 20. And it goes, they're 16, 16, and 1 in their last 33. They're 18, 18, and 1 in the last 37. And then it goes all the way to they're 28, 28, 1 in their last 57 games. Like, definition of mediocrity.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Stats doesn't have to tell me how terrible that team is, right? It's just, you saw them in that, in that game against New Orleans, right?
Yeah, but then they beat Panthers.
Yeah, they did beat the Panthers, but the Panthers are not that great.
But I think this is the point of this article, saying like they're just mediocre. They're always rising up to the occasion and then falling flat when the comp. It's this, like, who are they?
Yeah.
Who are the Redskins?
I don't know why NFL teams keep picking up Alex Smith as their QB, as their franchise QB. It's so frustrating watching him play. I feel like everybody feels the same way. No wonder, Andy Reid got rid of him.
Yeah.
If he thought that he was the future, he would keep him on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still relatively young.
He's going to be at the best a veteran. Like, you're not going to expect Joe Flacco to be Tom Brady or the greats. He's just going to be maybe an average or above average quarterback, which is exactly what Alex Smith is going to be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the Redskins fans will disagree. I'm sure
they should bring back RG3, man.
Oh, man. We'll trade him, get something back.
Yeah, crazy. He's he did good in the preseason. So,
what about Alex Smith? Oh, man, I had a question. It just escaped me. Well, let's move on, and then maybe I'll come back. Okay, so yeah, mediocrity. Devontae Freeman on IR. Who picked up, what was it? Ito Smith. I tried to get him.
No, I didn't even look at that. I just looked at, he went on IR. I was like, dang, who has this guy? And lo and behold, Cheetah.
Man,
that guy got devastated.
Man, although I saw the transaction, he made some moves, so I think he's trying.
He's trying, but man, it looks so bad.
I saw that. I was like, I kind of just want to give him Saquon for cheap, just to be like, here, buddy. when it's your turn for the podcast, you can talk about something.
This is no mercy league. You're gonna laugh at him till the end of the season. That's how
true.
It is.
That's
it's
true.
only fun if you laugh at the the bottom of the pack. I mean, what are you gonna say? Keep saying good things about good winning teams? That's boring. You gotta keep on ripping on the people at the bottom.
Hey, I contributed. Remember, I traded him a Giant.
Yeah, he is devastated.
Like after my trade, it just went downhill for him. Giant drama continues with OBJ and owner. Did you see this tweet from John Mayer? Is it John Mayer?
Yep. He pretty much saying, just shut up and play.
Play more,
right?
And do a little less talking.
Yeah, he's like, you're a football player, just shut up and play.
What's your thought on that?
I mean, he is a diva, right? But he is also a baller, right?
Dude, sick.
But again, they can't get him the ball. They have the pass rush is just killing them.
Oh my god.
Eli has no time. OBJ. I mean, what can OBJ do? He's not throwing the ball to himself. I mean, he did throw a pass to Saquon.
Yeah.
Maybe he should do more of that. I mean, who knows?
As a Saquon owner, I'm a little nervous because it's like, at what point do the Giants' offense completely collapses, right? Like the only reason why Saquon is doing so awesome is because their line is so bad that Eli has to dump it.
Yeah, right? and he gets 100 yards.
Yes, because he's a player, right? But at what point does everything just collapse and they go, man, we give up with the season? They look bad. They look so bad.
Really bad. But I think they don't have who's their backup? I don't even know who their backup is. I know it used to be like Geno Smith, but I don't know who their backup is.
So. Actually, I think I don't know if they drafted someone.
No, they didn't.
They didn't?
They didn't draft anybody.
Man.
So this is, I think, last year at Eli. And then, who knows? They're going to pick up QB next year.
But they can't even bench Eli.
No, they can't.
Because remember what happened last year when Ben McAdoo benched
and
Eli.
And then they fired.
So it's like, wait, who's the coach now? It's like, what's he supposed to do? It's like.
I know. It's just debacle.
But yeah, like I said, as a Saquon owner, as an Odell Beckham Jr., James, OBJ now, people, they got to be a little nervous. I know Chongo picked up Evan Engram.
He's on and off too.
Oh man, I picked him up. I think in the draft. I picked him up in the draft, and then he got hurt, and I had to drop him.
He always hurt. All those guys.
I believed in my my sleepers that I was like, okay, I'll just drop him. Maybe no one will pick him up, but of course Chongo picks him up because I feel like in this league now you can't make rookie mistakes like that. You know what I mean? Before, I think we could get away with it. When we're playing with like Chris Pyon and
people don't care.
They don't look at waiver wires, right? But I think now every freaking Wednesday everyone's looking at the waiver wire.
I think we're forced to because of all the David's activities. Like
I think maybe, but now everyone's looking.
I would be a little bit more hands off if it wasn't for David. Messaged me in the wee hours of the morning saying, "You want this? You want that?" And I was like, do I have what does this look like? Is this making me better or worse? I don't know. And I look at it, Like normally I wouldn't look at it until he sends me something. He sends me something. Now I'm up in the morning. You know, I do my morning stuff and I look at it and then I respond. So people that are active and they're constantly talking to you, you start to pay a little bit more attention.
Yeah. And then Greg Zerline. I had him too. And then fucking Paul picked him up. Commish, stop taking all my players.
Yeah, the commissioner, man. His team's all right, man.
It's all right.
I don't know how
he's going
undefeated.
to he's going to get defeated this week.
He is
by me.
Due for a loss.
Well, yeah, by me.
I mean, Todd Gurley,
it's really about who's going to blow up.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, but I'm going to call it right now. Todd Gurley's going to get hurt. And my win depends upon if he gets hurt late in the game or early in the game. And I'm going to say a mid to high ankle sprain, out 3-4 weeks. This is when Paul
because he's been really carrying him.
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
Matt Ryan's also been giving.
Oh yeah, Matt Ryan
points.
too. Yeah.
That's all.
Who do the Falcons play this week?
I don't know. I have to look.
That's probably. But anyways, you can look at that while we talk about our weekly Bell Talk.
Oh man.
Man.
David still has him on his bench. Even trying to let go of that guy, get rid of that guy since the beginning.
Okay,
He still
so
has him.
I'm gonna be honest here. I actually talked to him today about Bell. I was like, I'll take the bait. Like, what do you want, right? And then he didn't actually. This is how the conversation went. I was like, I'll take the bait. What do you want for Bell? He was like, And then he said something about like, how are you 4-2? Your team stank. And I was like, okay, fuck you, David. You're like 0-7, right? And then he goes, what do you want for Saquon? This is how all my trade conversation goes. It goes, I offer something or whatever, and they go, what do you want for Saquon? It's like, listen, guys, Saquon is not for sale right now. He is my baby. He's like, bug the commissioner about Todd Gurley, all right? Leave my Saquon alone, right?
I think three running backs.
Melvin Gordon, yep.
Todd Gurley, and Saquon. They have been bell cows and racking up points.
Studs, man.
Touchdowns like
Studs.
crazy.
Who's got Melvin? Is it James? No.
I think it's
Chong?
Chong. Yeah.
I wonder how he's losing so bad. With Patty Mahomes, man. Let's see.
Might be who knows.
Oh, Bell Talk. So Le'Veon Bell hasn't reported for bye week yet. We don't know what's going to happen. What do you think? He shows? He doesn't show?
Well, they said he's not going to show this week in the
Yep.
bye week.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you look at the numbers, they did sort of a comparison of, week 7 numbers of Le'Veon last year and this year. It's pretty equivalent.
Yeah.
They pretty much have the same numbers, which means, James Conner has been just really playing lights out. You look at the numbers on.
Oh, you're talking about from Le'Veon from week last year to
so
James Conner this year?
Scrimmage yards so far, last year Le'Veon has 706. James Conner has 710. Touchdowns, Le'Veon had 4. Conner had 7.
Okay, but so this begs the question though: if it was Le'Veon Bell, what kind of numbers would it be producing? You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong.
Good.
James Conner is doing great. I don't think if Le'Veon Bell shows up at all, there will be any issues. But Le'Veon Bell is a better running back.
He is.
He is. So in that system, with this line, with this, with all the threats now, AB, Juju, what would Le'Veon Bell be doing?
Yeah,
Maybe
that's a good question.
But I don't know. I don't know if he's going to show.
Yeah,
he has to show by week 10. I think.
I think that's a smart move, man. He was a bell cow last year, and they wore him down. And I think this kind of, slows that value in terms of him getting traded and whatever the case might be. Mm-hmm. He's worth more because he doesn't have as much touches this year, right? I think he's just cutting that down. I think that's smart.
It is.
I mean, he has probably like 2 or 3 years left, probably 2 max full,
Yeah, but
he's 27.
I think he might go another 2. I think he'll be a little bit longer, just because the way he runs isn't really like aggressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like a power run.
Right.
AP,
He's
right?
like
He's
he run. Yeah, he's just so like he can just read the field well, that he's so patient. Right. I feel like he can go a little bit longer, but yeah, he's the better back. He would.
Yeah, I think James Conner is just in a good situation.
Oh yeah. So my I actually want to ask every guest as we talk about the weekly Bell talk is what is your prediction of what's going to happen with Bell, right? Like so tell me like what week do you think he's going to show? And then what do you think the Steelers are going to do with Bell?
I mean, he might show the last day of when he's required. I think that's
week 10.
Yeah.
Right.
And then shows up week 10, collect his money, and then eventually get traded elsewhere.
Right, but what
free agent.
But what I'm saying is like what do you think would happen at week 11? Right? For fantasy
he's not going to get a lot of carries because he's probably out of shape. He doesn't have he's not in game form, right? So he probably get a few touches, and if they're depending on how the game progresses.
Really? See, I have the completely opposite mentality. And I think I've said this. I'll just say it briefly again on this episode. Is like I feel like because they know he's gonna be a Steelers next year, they're just gonna work him to like try to squeeze as much as they can out of him.
He might show flashes to show other teams that he can still do what he can do.
Right. Exactly. So it would be beneficial, right?
But then if he's already like staying out for 10 weeks, then he could probably not go in the game. He's like, oh, I don't want to go in the game. I already did a couple of things. I got 50 yards.
But then there's fines and probably looks bad on other players. Like I think he's still gonna go out and play, right? I think he will because it would be beneficial for him to be like, hey, look, I came back at week 10 and I scored, this many touchdowns and ran for this many yards in just the 5 weeks I was in here, or whatever, right?
Yeah, but that also, hurts their chemistry. James Conner has been playing so well.
I don't think. See, as Steelers, I think they
don't give a crap.
Le'Veon's a better back. And we're gonna,
you're gonna ride him to the ground
exactly
because we're paying him anyway.
Which means that fantasy-wise, James Conner kind of loses his value. But there are other people who say they'll run as a committee. So then
I feel like that's more of a possibility.
Is he actually handcuffed right now, Le'Veon? No, he's not.
He got rid of Conner for Edelman with Chris.
Oh man,
yeah.
I don't know if you get rid of that handcuff.
Yeah.
Oh well, but you got Edelman, I guess. So, anyways, enough of the Bell talk. Moving on. Kelvin Benjamin not wanting to run routes with his QB.
I don't know if you guys heard that one.
I saw that. That's crazy.
The worst thing is he's not even a good receiver, man. He was all right at Florida State.
Yeah, he
was tall. They got good targets, but then he did all right in the Panthers uniform. And
I feel like he has the potential to be a good receiver.
He's not good enough to be a diva, right?
Right.
Like you can't call Cam Newton out and say you stink. You didn't. Play up to your potential. That's why I didn't get what I need. And you come here and you don't do jack, and then you start talking and say I don't want to run for you.
The Bills are just a hot mess.
Gosh, I mean, after I saw the Baltimore and Buffalo game, I was like, man, they suck really bad. And then I was like, oh man, whoever I look at defense, whoever plays Buffalo, I gotta pick them up if they're in the way for.
But then they actually have certain games where their
which
defense
is kind of ridiculous.
But there's so many of that.
Yeah.
I mean, even with the Ravens, we lay a dud against the Browns, which I think they are starting to become a legitimate team as far as
you could potentially say Browns could be have a winning record.
Yeah,
Same with the Bills. Not Bills. They could have been 3-3.
Right, but
they could have won last week.
But so again, we lay a dud to the Browns because let's face it, there were certain play calls and certain plays I was just like, what are you guys doing? But then we come out and 11 sacks. Let me tell you, I was so fucking happy upstairs.
Yeah, because you
man, I was on top of the fucking world.
You had 20-some points in your defense.
Exactly. And it was my Ravens, right? I was like, oh, man. And, Jameis Winston scoring me 40 points. I was like destroying David to no end. I was actually surprised David came back. I don't know if you saw my matchup with him. And we're probably skipping ahead, but I had 176 points and he had 140. So he would have actually
we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Continuing. Amari Cooper being shopped, wanting first rounder. Yeah, right. Oakland is out of their mind.
John Gruden is nuts, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's doing over there.
That's crazy. Did you see there's a website called, oh God, I have to find it. Let me see if I can quickly find it. It's like time until Gruden is gone.
I think I saw that.
And basically it's like a website that just has a timer, right? But I didn't know this. He signed a 10-year contract.
10-year, $100 million.
Oh my goodness. And then not even that. It actually shows like how much money they wasted from the time you got onto the site, and then how much he's wasted since he got the contract, and how much it's still owed, and it's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, you
It's
get
nuts.
rid of your best player, and your team this year is nowhere what they were last year.
The Oakland Raiders are like David's fantasy team. It's just a fucking mess. It
is disastrous. I mean, Amari Cooper, man, that guy, I hate that guy.
Yeah. He took a
really
vicious shot at this. Did you see that?
He did.
Man.
And man, that might be good for whoever owns that guy, because I think Scott owns him.
Oh my God, Amari Cooper! I remember I took him one year, and I was like, never again.
That's exactly what I said last year.
Never again.
He is so
always
inconsistent.
Oh
man, first rounder, my ass. Get out of here. They're in some.
Yeah, they're pretty crazy. Pats fan throw beer at Tyreek Hill. First of all, Scott, typical Boston fan. Would you not? Right,
man.
I mean, I'm trying to talk to Sky here. Scott, I mean, would you agree? Is this
appropriate behavior of any human being? Gosh, Patriots fans. Oh man, I mean, we all generally don't like the Patriots, in general, because they're so good, and Tom Brady's there. They win all the time.
I mean, yeah.
And then you throw in the fans
and the cheating.
Oh, and the cheating, and all these things add up. I mean, Tyreek Hill is actually trying to get the NFL to, prosecute that guy.
They are. It's
and
crazy.
They should.
Because I think they found out the identity of him.
Yeah, it's like 21, 22-year-old, punk ass Boston kid throwing beer. He must have money because he's sitting pretty close, right? But that is just inappropriate.
That's
unnecessary.
It's rude. You know what I mean? It's like. You don't spit on someone's face. There's just certain things you just don't do to people. That's one of them.
Yeah,
I
mean, that's just uncalled for.
Oh man,
Pats fans,
dangerous too.
Pats fans, get it together, please.
Moving on. Worst team in the NFL: Giants, Bill, Cardinals. We kind of talked about this, right?
Yes.
Oh man, Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals.
Cardinals.
They're all pretty bad. I mean, I don't know where to start.
Well, 49ers kind of showed us something with Green Bay.
Yeah, but that was a
Flashes.
Anomaly, right? CJ, whatever his name is, had an all right game.
Yeah.
But I don't expect that to continue. I mean, who they got? Who their receivers? I mean, they got that.
Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, he just had that one monster game yesterday.
Yeah.
Or the other day, right? So
I would shop him if I were you, David. I'd shop him if see if anyone. But
Giants look bad. Bills. I mean,
yep.
Pretzman, that guy. He still has a job somehow.
Can I ask you on the side real quick? So you would say you're a Ravens fan as far as your actual football team goes?
Yes.
Would you when you watch Redskins games, do you root against the Redskins?
I don't care for them really. It's just painful to watch.
Okay.
Right? Because they're never
who are you rooting for? Panthers or Redskins?
I'm indifferent, right?
Okay.
I don't care about those teams. Unless a fantasy person that is that's impacting my team. That's what I root for. He's either the Ravens or a fantasy player anywhere in the league.
I'm on the same boat. I'm indifferent,
Yeah,
but sometimes I root for the team against Redskins just because, I like to push James's buttons or just see how they react.
There's no button to push. They stink, right?
Well, we'll see.
I mean, but then again, the whole division kind of sucks, right? Look at Dallas. Dallas is terrible. I mean, Eagles.
Well, they showed they
had one good game, but Dak, come on, man.
I don't know if Dak did exactly what he did. It was like a flash of his old self, right? That was, even the stat lines when he had that monster rookie year, it was like passing yard only 200 yards, but he had like a decent amount of rushing yards. Just making plays with.
I don't trust that man.
I don't know if I do either.
They have no number one. Dez is still looking for a
Cole
home. Beasley. Yeah, I drafted him. I was like, oh, he's gonna be number one. That was laughable.
No, he had one big game, right?
Yeah, one out of how many they had so far.
Yeah,
right. So, and then Giants are bad. Skins, probably up there because everybody else is bad. And Eagles, they're just not playing like the team they were last year. Their defense is giving up a lot of points. They're just not together yet.
I'm trying to think who else is bad. Who else is bad? Seahawks?
I mean, Seahawks is on and off. I think they're mediocre this year.
I think they're just one of those teams where they just don't know who they are yet.
Yeah.
I think that's what Redskins are. They're just like, they can't be good. They can't be good. They can't be good. We're like that too. I just hopefully, we'll see.
I mean, it's so tough watching the Ravens games too. They're so inconsistent.
Exactly.
I mean, Joe Flacco's really playing for his job, right? So he's been playing pretty decent.
Past
couple games.
That's why I picked up John Brown from Chris. All right, let's get into our fantasy news. A lot of trade talk. A lot of trade talk. Let's get into the first one. Chris's Edelman for this is last week's trade. We already talked about this. Let's go into.
So let's talk about some of the trades are being made and rejected, right?
Okay.
So a lot of times, I think we talked about this, on Sunday or one of those days.
Okay.
Right. We said when a vote comes in, people typically tend to look at just one for one, player for player. Right. But there's so many different factors involved. The needs of each team to project how they're going to project injury. So for example, like Le'Veon and James Conner, like early in their season, you didn't know what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you kind of think about those things before you make an offer or a trade. But when people vote, they just either look at whoever's, trading and say, oh man, David, reject. Right. Or, they just think it's unfair and then they reject, right? Not looking at the whole circumstances of what could happen, right? So, case in point, Josh Gordon has real good upside. I don't know what that upside is, but there's potential value there, right?
Okay. Yeah, of course. It's because he's, but see, okay.
So we're looking at like potentials, like that's what I'm thinking about.
Right, sure.
But then when you look at Josh Gordon to Mixon, you're like, oh no, that's not going to work. And this is when he was coming off injury. So that's where I think.
I think the biggest issue, and I think I vetoed that trade, right?
Yes,
is because of this, right? Josh Gordon is not going to give you, 15 points every week. He's going to give you
So that's where you're wrong, right? That's where. He started off with 2 targets. How many targets he had last week? He had the most targets in the Patriots team, right? So you see progression. There's always projection.
So, but then let's keep in mind that this trade happened like a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Right? So at that point where I'm like, dude, Edelman's coming back. This guy just got picked up.
You also have to consider Mixon was coming off his surgery, right? So there's a lot of uncertainty there.
Right, but I'm still thinking like, okay, if you get Joe Mixon, you're going to get consistent, even I think off this surgery, a consistent like 15 at least every week, right? Because he's the workhorse, right?
But again, you also have to consider he had 5 running backs. I had no running backs, right? He needed receivers.
Right.
Those are the factors that are involved, but people just look at one for one.
But then to be, kind of play devil's advocate and to kind of maybe play, in defense of everyone else is that, we don't have time to look at that.
Yeah.
Who really looks at the team and goes, okay,
exactly.
Right?
So I think
okay, and I would say that this veto system is still not perfect. Right?
Yeah.
There's probably
a lot of people think, if 2 people agree on something, let it happen. Unless it's
what Scott said.
Yeah, unless there's like collusion at the end of the season, say whatever.
It's like
but
if I send Saquon for I don't know, like Michael Thomas or something. Well, something that's unreasonable or something that's out of crazy.
If 2 people agree, they're like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to take a chance. You just never know how it's going to pan out. So we can talk a little bit more about that and get a consensus from from the group. Before
I think one thing that maybe we should talk about is maybe have some sort of way where we can make a case, like I understand it's like you're already talking with the other team, right? But when the polls come up, right, maybe like let's say you and I agree on a trade, right, and then I write to Paul, our commissioner, and be like, whatever, because I need this, injury, like blah blah blah, just like a couple keywords why I want this trade, and then you do the same thing, and then they kind of just puts that together. I know it's a lot more work for Paul, but at least that way people kind of get the extra
more
information,
details,
more
before
information,
looking at player to player.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, let's give more work to Paul.
Yeah, let's do it. Paul, if you're hearing, you're going to be listening to this. So, yeah, we should just make that happen. Just do it, people. Just start it. Let's make this thing. Let's make this a thing. All right, going to the trades. Odell, OBJ for David Johnson, James, and Juan. This was approved. I just want to put this out there, and I said this when Chris was making some of these crazy trades with James. Like, don't. Like, you should rarely take an RB without getting an RB back. I think that's just my guideline. And I, as you guys can see from my team, or at least for my draft, I value RBs. I want like all RBs for like the first I don't know how many rounds, but they're just so hard. So if you're gonna get OBJ like New York, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so when you look at the total numbers,
okay.
Odell's been performing better than David Johnson, but you just don't know because the team is so bad.
Yeah,
like you just don't know what is going to be week to week for both guys.
But do you start him every week?
You have to.
Yeah.
Right? Who else?
That makes you feel comfortable.
I'd rather have David Johnson than Royce Freeman or Latavius Murray or.
Wait. So you got David Johnson?
I got David Johnson.
Oh, okay, no. I would agree. I think you got.
I had Alfred Morris. Come on, man.
Yeah, I think that's a bet. That's a trade on your. You definitely took that trade. Again, James
he's
making
the one
these
that
crazy
wanted
trades.
it. So yeah, he pretty much unloading his entire team.
I don't know why.
For whatever reason.
What the fuck are you doing, James?
He's doing pretty well. He's number 2 or 3 in the league.
Yeah, but so why is he getting rid of everyone?
I think he's just antsy. He's just bored.
I think maybe Angie's having a hard pregnancy, and maybe he's just
frustrated.
It's like, I need to get rid of all my players.
Getting yelled at all the time. Maybe.
I don't know.
Like, so you're spending too much time. Just get rid of it.
I'll tell Carol to go out with Angie and take a nice spa day or something. Moving on, Geronimo Allison, James's for Dalvin Cook, David Yu. This got rejected. Again, I probably rejected it because, again, RB and Dalvin Cook to Geronimo Allison.
Dalvin's been hurt all year. He has 0 points.
But if we're talking about that upside that we were talking about with Josh Gordon, this guy is going to be once he's healthy.
But you see Minnesota, they have no running game. Maybe because he's not in there.
Well, Latavius Murray, he had a good game, right?
Good week last week, but he's been bust since then, right?
So,
so it's tough. Dalvin Cook, hammy injury. Did anybody have a hammy injury here? It's tough.
Yeah,
it takes a long time.
Moving on, Zach Ertz, James's Zach Ertz for David James, Juju Smith, which got approved.
This is from a points perspective, it's pretty fair.
Yeah, I would say so. I think James got actually wins with this one because he has Greg Olsen.
He's coming back.
Greg Olsen, and he's up there with TE1, if not high TE2.
He's
I could definitely
he's number 1 target for Cam Newton.
Yeah,
so.
and I would definitely send Zach Ertz.
But Juju's been playing well. He's top 5 in yards this year.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Receivers.
This makes James's team very dangerous. And then he had the Funchess and Chris Thompson trade for Tarek Cohen and Jarvis Landry for JB. Wow.
Isn't Chris Thompson hurt? He got hurt last week.
Did he?
I think so. And then, Tarek Cohen, I don't know who that is.
He's
Chicago running?
Yeah, with Jordan Howard. And I think there's news that he is supposed to now share
committee.
as same workload, if not more, maybe. So he's supposed to get a significant role. So I like it. And Jarvis Landry, which always maybe inconsistent, but always has that potential. So
Yeah.
I think, James wins in this trade. I think James got the better players. What do you think?
Mean, JB is struggling, so
Maybe. I mean, I guess it makes sense for a team like JB to kind of make these trades, but freaking James, man.
we'll see. We'll see if these are all good moves or just giving up moves for some reason.
And then we have Allen Robinson, Justin Tucker, James's for Kerryon Johnson, Dan Bailey, Chris. This is not pending anymore. Did this go through or not?
I'm not sure. All I know is I've never seen a kicker being traded.
Again, you read my post, right, in the chat room, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't be suckered by that Baltimore, best kicker. Like, I can see James already, texting Chris, Hung, I'll give you Justin Tucker. He's Baltimore, the best kicker. And then Chris is like, okay. I'm like, no, Chris, no, don't be suckered by that. That's Allen Robinson, a wide receiver against Kerryon Johnson.
Is he RB1 for Detroit?
Yeah, he's the starting running back. And I get it.
Allen Robertson is receiver for Jacksonville, right?
No, he's
Chicago.
Yeah. And I get it. He's doing well, but Kerryon Johnson is going to be the running back. Like, who else is running in Dallas besides Kerryon Johnson?
They're also a passing team, though. With Stafford.
That, and then I get that.
If you look at Stafford's numbers, he has more attempts than anybody.
But don't put Justin Tucker in. What is this? Come on. I think it actually might have went through. But anyways. Okay, so those were all the trades. I think there might have been more, but if there are, we'll go talk about it in the next episode because this is getting 45 minutes.
Oh, that's good timing. Good timing.
Yeah, we're making good time. Okay, next point, Kamara versus Ingram.
Oh, man, this one. I feel bad for whoever owns Kamara. Who owns Kamara?
Well, let's look it up.
Ingram came back, and he was the man. And Kamara just said, hey, you go return punts, man. You're good at that. So
you think so? You think he's gonna lose?
I mean, he lost it last week or 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, right? Kamara just came back. He got nothing.
Gite.
Yeah, again, Gite.
Oh man,
that guy, poor guy.
I don't know. I'm still not sold that Mark Ingram is gonna take all the workload.
No, he's gonna be the passing down back, right? Kamara is. Ingram's not going to catch the ball out of the backfield. It's going to be Kamara.
But that's how Kamara does Kamara.
Yeah, but
I think people are overreacting because he had one bad week. Yeah. I'm still not if Gite wants to trade me Kamara, I'll talk to me, Gite. I'll make something happen. You're not getting Saquon though. Stop. No, not. Moving on. Adam Thielen.
Oh my goodness, this guy has been on fire. How many consecutive 100-yard games? I think 6 so far.
He's
each one this year. He's on pace to essentially, break the record for most receptions in a season. I think it was like 54. He's projected. I think the highest is like 143 by Marvin Harrison back in the day. With Peyton thrown to him. So he's on pace, and he's doing really well. And, man.
Dude, feel good story. He
undrafted, right?
Right, undrafted. And he actually didn't know, if he was going to play football. So that he actually, I think, took a job as a dentist, salesman or something like that. And then he actually had to fund his own I guess he had to fund a certain amount to do his own combine.
Oh man.
Yeah. So he did that, and then he, finally got picked up or something, and then
he's actually been in the league for a while. I think he's 27, 28.
Just a really great story because, dude, he is balling, man. He is. I'm super happy for him. I'm super happy.
I feel like he's the number one over there, and then Stephon.
Easily.
Stephon's number 2.
Oh yeah. I mean, who has Adam Thielen? Whoever has Adam Thielen, that's a great
He's doing really well. I mean, he's Kirk Cousins loves that guy.
Oh man, I'm really happy for him. And let me see who has him. Adam Thielen. Hooney has him. Yeah, man, awesome. All right. I think that's everything about the fantasy news, right? So we're gonna quickly talk about the last the picks, league matchups. Picks.
All right, so I went 3 for 3 last week. Oh man, I have a lot to talk about.
Okay,
so,
hold on a second. I want to pull this up because, I had a little beef to pick with you.
Right.
I was not happy with your pick.
Yeah. We could talk about that too. All right.
Okay.
So I'll start with my first matchup, me and the Hunkster.
Oh man.
Man, I thought I had it this week, but for some reason, Alfred Morris he didn't play. He was in the doghouse. He decided to be the biggest loser of the week. Man, but good win. So lucky. All you got is Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley. Everybody else is some garbage.
Yeah.
You know what? It's gonna make me happy. You're gonna go into the first round of playoffs after your bye, so the second round, and lose. Right? That's gonna make me happy, and that's what's gonna happen. Right? So next matchup, Bless versus BO Kids, Chris. I mean, I was right again. Hell of a game by Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, but that's all you got, Choho. I mean, Chris, your season's done, man. Sorry, you're making all these moves, but you are dead last. You made this, John Connor trade, but you just came up a little short. One thing I can tell you is just don't be last. So,
all right.
Epic James time versus the Golden Tate Warriors. I mean, I picked James as expected. No surprise here.
Yeah.
I mean, you really are in trouble if your kicker gets more points than most of your wide receivers and running backs. GTA, all you're really fighting for is not to be dead last. I'm sorry, man. You are really done for the season.
Yeah, there's always next year. Sorry, GTA.
Thank you for your donation. All right. Now this one, 28-3, Scott and Hooney. I mean,
oh yeah, this is the 1.1, right?
This one is like just a boneheaded move, right? Hooney, he decided to trust Blake Bortles to be his backup starter. I mean, you could have picked any other QB during Stafford's bye, right? And you would have won. This is why Hooney will not go far in the playoffs, right? He just makes boneheaded decisions like this. Just poor management. Do I give Scott some credit for winning? No, because it's just Hooney that just was bad fantasy manager this week. Now, next one, JB versus David. I mean, I should have known that JB will, again, pick the wrong players to start. His bench could have beaten David, actually. Had the highest point, 175 versus 161. I did the math here. Again, poor management. That's really
175. He would have had 175.
Yeah, if he started his bench.
Holy shit! I had 176.
Oh,
that's
then
crazy.
He would have been second.
Holy wow!
Yeah, so JB's doomed because of his management. And he has a good team, but what can you do when you just have a bunch of second-tier players,
man.
right? Again, I give zero credit to David Jang, since this is more of a loss by JB than a win by David.
Losing by winning. All right, here we go.
So we got, David and
the 7-6. He changed his name.
Yeah.
Did you see that? 7-6.
Yes.
His record that he's declaring.
Yes.
He's declaring.
So David actually had a pretty good week. He could have beaten 8 of the 11 teams this week, but you have to go against the highest score of the week. Obviously your luck is not on your side. It's really not the effort that makes you dead last. It's really that annoyance that you pose on people, right? That's why all of them reject your trades. And even when you get trades get through, rest of the league rejects your trades. On the flip side,
he rejects every trade. I haven't seen him accept one trade yet.
Yeah, I think he's just bitter, right?
He's just probably like, reject.
But, his team is not bad, so I don't think he's going to be dead last in the league, even though he has a worse record.
I don't know. He's got a lot to catch up.
Yeah, he does, but I think the race is the worst team, I think, this year is either going to be Chris or GT.
Chris or GT? Really?
Yeah, really? Yeah. My prediction is really on GT. His team is just decimated with injuries, bad trades. I mean, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
Just pony up that $20.
So you were quite surprised about my team?
It was a surprising. I mean, who would have thought Baltimore D get 10 sacks, 11 sacks, and 21 points, and Winston. You know, if he didn't have that, you would have lost because David would have won.
No, actually, I had quite other.
I mean, they had some good. You know,
no, I had a couple.
It would have made you sweat a little bit more, right? Because David was coming back.
Maybe, yeah. I probably would have had sweat. I would be like, I still got it, but then I would wake up and the next day and be like, ooh, it was actually a lot closer than I thought. But I don't know if I would have sweat. All right. This week's pick is actually coming tonight. I'm gonna be doing a special recording. Of it. So look out for that one.
All right.
All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. I think. Oh, that's the end of the show. Wait, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
So, I mean, other than the podcast, one thing I want to share with you guys is, you know, my brother-in-law actually got me into this new podcast.
Okay.
It's called Crime in Sports. I don't know if you guys heard of it, but it's basically two comedians talking about athletes that committed crime.
Okay.
And it's pretty funny. I mean, some parts are really messed up, but it's like it's tough to laugh at, but it's so funny that you laugh at it.
Okay.
I think the first one this podcast was started back in 2016.
Okay.
It's gotten progressively better because they got more sponsorships and so on and so forth.
Cool.
But they, you know, first episode was around Ray Caruth. I don't know if you guys know who Ray Caruth is.
Refresh us.
He was basically a Panthers wide receiver.
Okay.
And he basically hired somebody to kill his pregnant girlfriend.
What?
And then they went to the movies, and then he basically pulled up behind her, you know, had her, you know, drive separately, and then the other guy came up and then shot her while she was pregnant. And then actually the kid is now 18 years old, and he's like, you know, he has a bunch of issues because he didn't get, you know, and they talk about that, you know, how scumbag he is, and they just laugh at it, and they just kind of talk about the son too. It's kind of messed up, but they laugh about it. And then the next episode they talk about Lawrence Phillips, you know, football player, done some bad stuff. And you guys
Lawrence Phillips. Do I know him?
He's back in the day, right?
Okay.
In the 80s or 90s. And they talk about Chad Curtis.
Did they talk about Aaron Hernandez?
I'm starting back in 2016.
Oh, okay,
right?
So you're going back.
Yeah,
okay.
I've probably listened to 6 or 7 episodes.
Okay. But it's good.
It's good. It's just funny, and it's messed up. It's so funny.
Okay, I'll check it out.
They talk about athletes. I mean, they talk about like people that you may not have heard of, some wrestlers, some bodybuilders, and they do some really crap. And they do talk about like, you know, well-known people, but they don't go into like OJ or anything like that. They may talk about that later. Yeah, they don't talk about like the well-known ones. They do like really research. They read legal documents, and they kind of talk about it, and they go on forums to what people are talking about, you know, and they pull all that information, and they just kind of laugh about it amongst each other.
Ever since we've been doing this, I've been like on a podcast binge, man. I just can't get enough of it. It's awesome. It's so cool. People just are so interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's hilarious. It's funny. You guys should check it out and start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I got into that. So
cool.
Other than that, that's pretty much what I had for this week.
Do you have anything you want to say? Any shout outs? Any
I mean, good luck everybody this
trades,
week. I mean, this.
You want any proposals? Do you need anything?
Fantasy this year, you know, everybody, all y'all are some sauce, man. This year's fantasy is what I expected. Few people at the top, you know, many mediocre teams, and of course some bottom dwellers. Got David, JB, Chris, and G10. I say Scott too.
It's good to be at the top. It's good to be at the top. I overtook David at the bronze medal here.
You know,
high scores.
It's still early. We're
It's still early.
Mid season, but we know certain people are just done.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they got to come back from a huge deficit.
Yeah,
it's not likely.
Hey, Trades can happen.
You're just fighting for not to be that.
I mean,
last
look
guy.
at what James did. He just got rid of his awesome team. So that means other teams got better. Who knows? Who knows? This could be big. This should be big, right?
We'll see. Only time will tell.
Yep. All right. Well, Mr. Juan Kim, thank you for joining us.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yep. And we're done.